Life's still unfair. So, very thematically, I was going to sit and talk about the fact that I did sit and watch Malcolm in the Middle's reboot 4 episodes thing. What is it? What do they do? Revival? That's what they called it. They called it like a 4 episode fucking mental illness. They called it like a 4 episode revival. And you know what convinced me to watch it? The non-binary sibling. Hell yeah, it did. So there's a little bit of background of my relationship with Malcolm in the Middle. It's near non-existent. I think I was maybe a teeny bit too young and British question mark. I am maybe like 10 years younger, 10, 15 years younger than Malcolm. Frankie Muniz. How do you pronounce that? Julian, help me out. Oh, it's not Julian's channel. I think it's just really anglicized, isn't it? Muniz? How old is he? Frankie. Birthday. Yeah, 85. So he is basically almost exactly 10 years older than me. I was like, am I lying? No. I feel like a lot of people did watch this show. I did catch episodes. Like, I'm not saying I was completely unaware of this show. I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't watch this show in the same way I watched things like Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven. I think it was because it was a lot of boys in the show, maybe. And I grew up a very girly girl, honestly. I'm not going to lie. I know the irony in it. It could be anyone. It could be any of yous. I have nothing against the show. I don't know really anything about the show. Honestly, which one was this? There were like some of them look so different, older. I didn't recognize which brother it was. I was just like, who is that? But yeah, so like from my point of view, I've seen episodes of the original or like parts of the original because back in the day with how TV used to work, you couldn't really plan to watch things a lot. You had to plan to watch things, or you had to know when stuff was coming on to be able to watch stuff. If things weren't coming on when you knew when they were happening, sorry, babes. Or if they clashed with something else that you preferred, sorry, love. So I don't know. It probably clashed with something else that I was watching that I preferred. Kim Possible, Fairly Odd Parents, like I said, Lizzie McGuire, That's So Raven. It's like Carrie Dayton was asking, like, which millennial, like, kids show were you? And, like, the two versions that she was talking about, I was like, technically, I was, like, in between the two that you've said, because I kind of, like, watched a little bit of both, because, like, she was also talking about Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Hannah Montana, things like that. But I did prefer, and I do think Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven and stuff was like a little bit better. And like I think this show was probably better than some of those newer shows. But like, yeah, I'm also an only child, so I didn't have the influence of like siblings. And yeah, as well, like when it comes to the non-binary side of things as well, I am closer in age. Like I said, I'm only slightly closer in age to Frankie Muniz and his character than I am to his non-binary sibling. Only by like 5 years. Like I'm slap bang in the middle of those characters' ages almost, which is quite an interesting. I don't know if dichotomy is the right word. Let me Google that word. Double checking my sources. Don't want to be making shit up. Thank you, Merriam-Webster, for giving me nothing useful there. Tell me what it means. Oh, Cambridge Dictionary was a little bit better. A difference between two completely opposite ideas or things. Because I feel like that's almost like a generational difference. I think it is a generational difference. I think I'm that border between millennial and Gen Z. So it's very interesting for me, actually, to be that border between the millennial people who maybe did watch this show, the original show, who are the Frankie Muniz and his brothers, maybe generation, versus the non binary sibling who is 15 years younger than me, who is like what, Gen, I suppose, technically, yeah, just barely on the border of Gen Z, like on the lower end of Gen Z. So, yeah, I love being a Libra. Fuck me. Being a Libra, being non binary, being a bisexual, bringing it all to the table again, being on the border of millennial and Gen Z, the cuspers. So I think, yeah, maybe it's an interesting point of view to have as well, being that somebody who maybe didn't like watch the original show as like a big fan when it was coming out, but as somebody who is generally like a media nerd, somebody who likes to analyze media, discuss media, and somebody coming to the reboot revival 4-episode story with very little information from the original, who kind of borders that generational gap as well. I've seen some of the people who did watch the original show's thoughts. So I might start there because I think that was some of the reasons why I did start watching it as well. Because I saw some good things, I saw some bad things. One of the criticisms I saw is that people didn't think that Malcolm should have such an old daughter. And I don't know how old she is. I mean, she doesn't seem that much younger than his younger sibling, Kelly. Where is she? Leah? Born 2010. So, what, we're 26? So she's about 16. Damn. How old is she supposed to be? Okay, she's roughly like 14 to 15, is what people are saying, because obviously filming and editing and stuff takes time. Like I said, he's 40. My mum had me at 22, 21, which is young, but not that young. Like, she was at least an adult. So he would have been, what, 40, 30, like 25? I don't think that's that young. I think that's like a fair age. That would have been post-university if he went for a bachelor's. So that was like the first piece of criticism I saw, is that people just didn't like that. People just didn't like that. People have kids at all ages. Like, chill out. Because then also in this revival, his older brother is, I'm going to say still, because he does reference that they've been trying to have a baby for a long time. Like, since the original show, I think. But like I said, I don't know. But his older brother, Francis, and his wife, is it Piama? Francis. That's such fun. I didn't know his name was Francis. I took in 0 names. It was 4 episodes. I took in 0 names. Malcolm's name was in the title. Kelly was non-binary. Sorry, like, nobody else had a name. But yeah, like, Francis and I think Pia found out they were pregnant in this 4-episode revival after apparently trying since the original show. And yeah, God knows how old these two are. I have no idea. I'm assuming 50? At least, I'm assuming the brother is at least 50. The actor was born in 1980. How do I do maths? Bro? Okay, 5 years difference. So I was about right. 45. Jesus Christ. 45. That is actually not, I thought he was older than that. There's so many fucking brothers. I thought he was the oldest brother. How many siblings? I'm learning so much. How many? They have so many siblings. And so I'm assuming Pia is roughly the same age. Is it going to tell me? I don't know. No, it's not going to tell me, but I'm going to just guess she's around the same age. Let me have a look. Let me see if the wiki, the family. Let me. So much. Oh my God. Right. So Kelly is 16. That timeline does not line up. That timeline doesn't align. Does not align. So 16, Malcolm. Yeah, that timeline doesn't align. Apparently, in the revival series, he's 36. Going by the actors' ages makes more sense. So yeah, he would have been like maybe 20. Oh my God. Maybe 20. Wow. He had a child at almost the same time as his parents. Like, that might be the worst part about it. Like, it's not how old he was. It's the fact that he had a child at the same time his parents had their last child. Nobody's updated the wiki. Because Hal is like nearly 60 in the revival series. Lois is 60. Damn. Ah, here we go. Cheat sheet. Go to one of the parents. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Francis, oldest son, is 40. Sorry. I couldn't keep doing this. Anyway. Francis. I've wasted like 20 minutes. Somebody needs to make the wiki easier to navigate. I swear to God. The wiki fandom pages are so hard to find anything because the photos are too fucking small. And so, like, unless you know everybody's name all the time, and I don't. So, Francis, 40 years old in the revival, and he's finally going to be a father. Where is Pia? And she is about the same age in the revival. So, slay. I'm pleased for them. How old would they have been, Hal and Lois, when they had Kelly? If they were, let's just round it up to 60. So 50, like 45 ish. I feel like that's a wake up call. I don't like being woken up to how time works, you know? I don't like being woken up to time, you know? I don't like that. Right, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 children. I feel like it feels like so many. So, yeah, okay. Yes, he had a kid young. I think so Malcolm, sorry. I think it was an accident. It was an accident. And his girlfriend at the time was a little bit cuckoo cuckoo. And he stepped up. So, like, no comment on the mother, even though he is not always the kindest in what he says about her. I think he doesn't necessarily say those things to Leah, right? Which is nice, I suppose. But yes, apparently, according to the canon, he's only about 5 years older than me. Which doesn't. Which definitely does not align with the birthday that's on his wiki page. I'm pretty sure that's not correct. 1987? That's not right, is it? I can't do maths. I'm 94 and I'm 31 now, and we're both at the end of the year. So when there's a 5-year difference, I would say there's a few years discrepancy there. Um, I think there's a few of those, but I think a lot of people don't give a shit, and that's fine. And I don't really give a shit because I barely know what's happening. I don't have any idea what's going on. He has some weird mates, I've got to say as well. I'm trying to find a link here somewhere. Is this it? Tristan, the new girlfriend? Right, the new girlfriend. Interesting plot, I guess. I did feel like there was a lot of immediate judgment when his parents just showed up out of the fucking blue. I would like to know why nobody knows his parents exist first, and why he flew off the handle at them and ran down the street before making a specific judgment for, because you don't know. You don't know. And then we find out later anyway, she hasn't told him that she's been arrested and has a record. Did she get that expunged? I don't know. There were a few things I wasn't paying full attention to. But I think generally her character is fine and funny. Somewhat of a grounding addition to the cast because I think Malcolm and Leah are very neurotic. But I do think Malcolm's parenting is actually very sweet and actually quite grounded. I really liked his attempt and his I don't know, the way he was trying to parent Leah, particularly seeing as he only had one kid versus being one of five for the majority of his youth. He obviously was trying to take a very different approach to parenting and family life because he didn't didn't want to bring his kid up the same way that he was brought up, which I think is very fair. But I'm not gonna lie, after the 4 episodes when we get to the end where he finally confronts Lois about why he's avoided the whole family for the past like 15 years plus because of university and stuff too, basically since he went off to university. And it was because she was like, oh yeah, I wanted you to have kind of like a direction in life and like a plan to be aiming for. So we were like, yes, let's aim for president. And he was like, I felt suffocated. And it's like, what? And it's like that one moment seems a little bit insane. That one moment seems very privileged and ridiculous. I understand it's the straw in the camel, straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing, I guess. But that that being like the one thing just sounded so absolutely ridiculous. Because, from what I remember of the show, it was just a lot of constant fighting for any parental attention and fighting uh, his other siblings all the time, which is not uncommon, particularly for that time period as well. But for that to be the, I don't know, maybe it's just the when he said it and he realized how fucking ridiculous it sounded. He was like, "Never mind, bitch. Never mind." I don't know. There was obviously like a lot of different moments at that like anniversary party. He was like, "Wow, I have been a terrible person and family member," because he did that speech after his awful video recorded message that everybody else actually put effort into. He could have taken 5 minutes to record a slightly better message. That really did not need to be part of his performance of looking busy. One of the like angry anti reboot remarks I saw this post basically that was just like, they've gone woke. And actually the comments arguing against this post were actually very surprising and were pointing out how this show was kind of always woke in its own way. because some of the things that they said was like one that I think, because the guy was like, oh, they brought in some Asian chick, speaking about Pia. And for one, apparently Pia is, I think, Icelandic. This is the thing. I know nothing about Malcolm in the Middle. So let me see if I can find the page for Pia. Oh, here we go. She was 19 years old when she married Francis and is of Inuit, so Native Alaskan and Filipino descent. So yeah, she's been in this since the third season of the original show. So she was in, that was from season 3 to season 7. So she was in the original show for quite a long while. So they didn't just bring in some random Asian lady. She was part of the original cast. And also she is Native Alaskan. And they've literally been married. They've been married for ages. So yeah, she like that. She's been in the show for a long time. Something about one of Malcolm's friends, whose name I can't fucking remember. Was it Stevie? Yeah. So Stevie's gay in this reboot, married to a man and has a kid, stuff like that. Somebody said like part of the joke of his character as well is that he was like all of the marginalizations in one. So like they just kind of continued that. They just continued doing that in the reboot. So like in the original show, he's a black kid who's disabled. I mean, that's as far as I understand it. Again, don't know the original show. Oh, yuck, being wheelchair bound. He's a wheelchair user and asthmatic. Yeah, his parents were very overprotective of him because of his disabilities, and that led to his character needing to assert his independence as he got older throughout the series. And then, yeah, in the revival, he has a son named Max with his husband Glenn. So yeah, I mean, I think that's amusing. If anything, I was about to say, if anything, they didn't go far enough. He should have been trans too. But yeah, like it was, I just really appreciated the comments because there was barely any that were agreeing with this idiot. But people were clearly knowledgeable about the original show and were being like, remember this, 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 and this. Remember this season, this season, this season, this character was here, here, and here. You know, they were referencing where these characters started in the season, you know, what tropes they were, etc. You know, what sort of thing they were supposed to be referencing. Also, the kind of joke that Kelly kind of portrays as well as the non-binary character as to why it's not like just some wokeism of like, oh, everybody's adding non-binary characters in their shows now, so we better just add one in too. Because funnily enough, I told my friend about this character and they were like, oh, why are the non-binary characters always a skinny white person? And I was like, to be fair, Malcolm in the Middle, it's an all-white family. But like, part of the joke, which I can understand now, is that Lois always wanted a daughter, but she only had boys. Like, she has 5 kids before Kelly, and like, you know, that complete last second accident kid was supposedly a girl, supposedly accidental daughter, meant to be daughter. Finally, they got their girl. Joke's on them, it's a fucking non-bino. It's a non-binary child. And I actually do really appreciate, fucking hell, I do actually really appreciate that joke. I think that's really funny. I think that is really funny. I also think it's crazy. I actually can't believe that Malcolm actually kept his child a secret. Like, that's the thing. I thought they all knew each other were alive. Episode 1 was crazy. I like that was actually really shocking. I'm like, no way. No way is Malcolm that crazy. I think maybe if I was like an avid watcher of the original show, maybe I would have seen that coming. But I was actually so shocked. I was like, no, no way. No way. No way. No way is he that crazy to have not even told anybody that he has a child. No. No way. No way. He did. That's crazy. That was crazy work. I think that they made the right choice in doing like a mini 4-part series rather than a film. I read that it was supposed to be a film originally. I think the 4-part series uh rolls a lot better. Flows. The flow is a lot better. I think as well because I think they I don't know if they, brought in the same writers from back in the day, but I think they know how to do episodic storytelling. Whether it's 20 minutes, because I think they were quite short too. I don't think they were particularly long, but I think they knew how to do episodic storytelling. So I think it had a decent arc structure for 4-parters, but then also an overall arc for the 4 story, like the 4 episodes into one, which is much better in my opinion, rather than trying to fit all of that into one long sit down. I don't think every kind of story fits well into a film, and same as like in reverse. I don't think every film like story would fit into an episodic version. Like Friends, I don't think should have ever done a film, for example, or Pretty Little Liars. I'm trying to think of anything, any other thing. I'm trying to think of any films to like use as an opposite example, and I can't think of any. Um, I don't know. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying. I think it also handles it all quite well, where it's like, particularly with the non-binary character of like, Hal and Lois are kind of old. they are not. They are not very good with the pronouns thing. And Kelly's kind of an asshole about it, and that's fine. I think that is a relatively fine dynamic between teenager and kind of old parent. And I think Frankie, as like a young parent, Malcolm, he's that he's basically like, if you put him and Leah as a side by side to the Gilmore Girls, I think he's watched Gilmore Girls. I think Malcolm's watched Gilmore Girls one too many times, whilst having sleepless nights raising his baby alone. And he has dreamed of being bestest buddies with his only daughter as a single dad. Separating from his family, having a little bit of cognitive dissonance going on about why he separated from his family instead of accepting the help that he could have gotten from them. Like, how did he do all that? How did he raise her by himself? Because when did the mum leave? I have many questions. I have many logical and logistical questions about how he raised her by himself in this economy. In this economy? As a single dad with no job? At 20 years old, and nobody knew she existed, that sort of thing. Because at least, like, what's her name? Lorelai's family knew Rory existed because she ran away pregnant. They knew she was out there somewhere, pregnant. giving birth, having a baby somewhere. I do also like, I feel like this was common in the original series. I feel like it feels very familiar, but like there's a lot of stereotypical role reversal going on between Hal and Lois. Like I said, feels familiar, but I don't know the show well enough. But like Lois feels a lot more strong, takes charge, gets everything done. And Hal feels a little bit floppy, soft, emotional. Needs a bit of a soft touch. And I think in a lot of ways, it's almost a role reversal, but not. It almost feels like it's feeding into actually what we see going on more traditionally, actually. Like, I feel like a lot of women running the household are like this, and men in families are also like this. But we don't see this. We just don't see it on telly very much. We don't really see it depicted in this way. But also, we don't see it depicted in a particularly like healthily, like we don't see it in a healthy, dynamic kind of way. It feels like they know what they're in for with each other, and they know what each other needs and each other wants, and how each other works, and what needs to be done to get through, I guess. Like, but also, yeah, some of her plot lines, like some of them were fine. I think the pacing was a bit off for her plot lines, to be honest, because I don't think we had a lot of time for a lot of these things to happen. Obviously, it's 4 episodes. I don't think it was actually canonically many days. Like, it couldn't have been longer than a week, surely. So it did feel a bit rushed for all of that to be happening. You know, she was kind of being weirdly bullied but not bullied at school. I was not really following some of that. That was really confusing, to be honest. That weird guy who became her friend and then was flirting with her and then was texting her for boob pics when she was out at an event. When she was like, for one, clearly in like a dress that boobs were not going to be easy to whip out anyway, but also out at an event. And she was, well, to be fair, there's lots of creeps and creepy boys at the age of 14, 15 asking for boob pics. So they were back in my day. So that part wasn't surprising. It was just more of the timeline of that didn't make sense. And then the fact she didn't tell anybody or kind of had nobody to tell. She had no friends. So like that's kind of the thing that I find a bit weird. And I did find it a bit odd that, I don't know, I feel like Kelly maybe could have been a bit nicer to Leah. Take Leah under their wing in a way, you know, be the angry, protective cousin or some shit, you know? Cousin, not cousin. Technically, non-binary term for auntie or uncle. Let's just go with cousin. Just makes more sense. Makes it easier. But yeah, you know, there are a few of those bits where I was just like, they're trying to squeeze in a lot of like kids' problems, like young girls' problems in here. Or did she tell? I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting now. Did she tell her dad? Did she tell her dad's girlfriend? I almost feel like it would be one of those things that she might have told her dad's girlfriend. But also at this point, it's been like a week and a half, and I might have just forgotten. So if I forgot, let me know. And yeah, there was like a little bit with Malcolm's like strange friends who genetically created a child who might become Leah's friend or boyfriend in the future. Who knows? I can't tell if he's okay or not, because he was circling an ant at one point, but then he seemed kind of normal. Either way, I have concerns about his well-being. Are we going to get any commentary from the writers about, I can't think what the word is. Oh no. Give me meds, please. My brain. Yeah, they have said that, like, for the moment, there is no plan of it being continued into any longer series. It does seem to be left quite open with that end scene. I do quite like the fact as well that it has, like, the narration, the narrative part was kind of split between Malcolm and Leah, because it does sort of feel like it's almost being handed down to the next generation as well, that it is going to be a parent and kid show. So a show that could be shared with the next generation. So, you know, the kids who used to watch Malcolm in the Middle are now older, maybe have their own kids or nieces and nephews, things like that. Sit down and watch the next reboot of the show, maybe, if they did do it. At the very least, they will watch this. Yeah, it'll be one of those things that's shared between generations and is time spent with each other, I guess, too. But, like, it was definitely a fun show to watch, and I think it was one of those shows that I think could definitely be appealing to a broad age range. And I don't think it even, I feel like it wasn't dumbed down as well. There are so many shows that are being dumbed down at the moment by, like, Netflix executives and things like that, because people can't get the fuck off their phones to watch TV. Put your fucking phone down. By the end of the day, my phone battery is low, so I use that opportunity to just put my phone on charge, and, like, now everything has fucking adverts again. I pick my phone up in the adverts. I'm not paying to get rid of the adverts when I'm already paying to watch these fucking shows on the streaming platforms. Yeah, everything sucks. Life's still unfair. But yeah, I guess that's just kind of my thoughts generally. I think it would be fun if they did continue it. I think there could be a lot of fun things that they could definitely be making commentary on, being an older parent, being a younger parent in today's shithole of the world. You know, both from Lois and Hal's point of view, or Francis and Pia's point of view. Sorry, I've literally just closed all the fucking tabs and now I'm listing people's names. I'm like, I don't know. Who are they? Or yeah, from, like, Malcolm's point of view, or also being like a step parent, maybe step parent point of view. From, I don't think I've said the girlfriend's name once. What's her name? She ain't even on here. Oh yeah, I did. Tristan. There we go. What's going on with all of these other brothers? Because we have seen them a little bit, but not like a ton. Maybe a bit more what it's like to be a disabled gay parent. That would be pretty iconic as well, because, like, yeah, I don't think there's many shows that approach that topic. However, would love if they could speed up his talking a little bit. I know it's supposed to be funny because of the asthma, but, like, does anybody actually speak that slowly because of their asthma? Somebody get that guy an inhaler. I'm sorry. Somebody get that guy an inhaler. Yeah, I think they could do a lot. They could do a lot. But also, I think if they decide not to do any more, I think this is like a nice little, like, round off little, hey, this is what happened with everybody 10, 15 years, whatever the fuck, down the line. Probably about 15 years, right? Because how old Kelly is. And it kind of ends on, like, a positive note where everyone's a little bit hopeful with like a reconnecting of things, right? Everyone's a little bit hopeful that things are going in the right direction. Malcolm is reconnecting with his family. his mum now knows why he was avoiding them all these years. They now know about the granddaughter, and now they can all get to know her. You know, things are looking up kind of vibe. Things are looking up. Still a lot of work to do, but everything's in the right direction kind of thing. I think it's always kind of like the right tone you want to leave things on. You want to feel relatively finished, but leave with the idea of possibility for the characters, not necessarily possibility slash unfinishedness. I don't know. There's a lot of shows that feel unfinished because they were cancelled, not because they were finished but left with this, this feeling of possibility of where will they go next, what will they be doing next, leaving the viewer, or reader if it was a book, or whatever, with this thought of like, where will they go next, what do you think they'll be doing next, leaving you to think about or imagine the possibilities next, which I think is what a good book, TV series, film should kind of leave you with. I don't think they should necessarily always have to leave off with like a dead set, like, this is how it ends, this is where everybody ends up and exactly what happens to everyone. I think a nice open-ended, like, this is where we leave everybody, where everything could be going in this kind of direction. And I think that's okay. So yeah, those are my like general thoughts on the show. As someone who didn't really watch the show when I was younger, somebody who hasn't rewatched the show either as an adult, somebody who is in between the two kind of generations of millennial and Gen Z, as a non-binary person as well, looking at and commenting a little bit on the character and the characterization and a little bit of script stuff as well. And yeah, a little bit of a media nerd, just discussing media stuff. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if there's anything that I, kind of got wrong, misinterpreted a little bit, because, like I said, I don't know this show particularly well. Very happy to be corrected or being given more context from people who have seen the show or did watch the show a lot as a kid, or does still rewatch the show. Like, I love to rewatch some of my favorite like kids shows even now. Like, I think I rewatched Kim Possible a few years ago because I fucking love Kim Possible. So yeah, feel free to leave comments, giving me more context and stuff. Like, quite happy to discuss that sort of thing. And maybe some of your comments might actually make me feel the need to go and maybe have a little rewatch, have a little watch of some of the original show myself. We'll see. I have so much on my watch list that I kind of have to prioritize certain things. So that's why I didn't go back and rewatch the original. But just wanted to discuss this. I don't know what, I keep forgetting the word they keep using. So I'm just going to call it fucking reboot. I can't, my brain, I don't know. Anyway, don't forget to check out some of my other videos as well, talking about media related things. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.